Hey guys, so here bringing you another video. Now welcome back to another high rating spectate. Today we're watching Ryze, and the answer is Ryze actually weak? So basically, Rod of Ages champions, some people have said, like, are very good at the moment. But from my experience, I think they're fine. Maybe Anivia's the biggest culprit, but a lot of Anivia's in high rating, a lot of them ignored Rod existed anyway in later stages because it just makes a power spike way too late. But Ryze, obviously notoriously a mana champion, Seraphs, Rod of Ages, very good on him. Let's see how this goes. So he's against a Jax. Both champions are arguably scaling champions, but I would probably give lane advantage a little bit to Jax if he's good at the champion. Again, we're watching a very high rating game. You can see Broxah is in this game in the jungle, so it's a very decent game. So let's see how it goes. And I will say, I wanted to give an example, and for the most part, it was very easy, by the way, for me to find good examples of Ryze, but I wanted to have an example of a game that shouldn't be easy for a Ryze. You know, Jax, I don't think, is an easy lane. If Jax gets ahead, snowballing potentially would happen. And in theory, Ryze really shouldn't do much damage in the early game at all, right? I think that's one thing. Before you watch this video, most of us would probably agree Ryze is not strong in the early game. He should not really be able to kill things in the early game. So let's see what happens. So obviously starting tier, and that is a nice thing, by the way, for Ryze to be able to start tier and straight away start farming that tier item up. But this game obviously has a Hecarim, who's known to be pretty strong. Twisted Fate, not really sure how strong he is, but that might be another champion we'll have to watch in the next few days, because he Jax starting Q, wanting to be aggressive because he knows he can be aggressive over a Ryze probably in the early game. But then the enemy team, there's Fizz. Fizz, I would imagine most of you probably think is one of the most problematic champions of preseason. Very strong, and generally Fizz beats immobile mages. So Twisted Fate is an immobile mage. Has no dash or way to get, you know, away from his team. So level 2 hits, you can see this Ryze obviously trying to fight the Jax, and the Jax obviously being quite aggressive. Ryze though looking for some damage. Jax doing okay, but Ryze looking aggressive, and you know, nearly dead is the Jax. This hasn't been a great trade for him. And already the damage from Ryze, I'll say, isn't disastrous. It's not that bad. You know, it's okay, like completely. So, Hecarim might look top lane, but so both junglers might look top lane. Jax, though, does go aggressive, potentially at the wrong time. He's going to go down. And to be honest, that was more Jax being really greedy. Even I probably would have predicted, if we're both having duels at this health at the early stage, one jungler is going to come top lane. It's just going to happen. Hecarim, obviously being a fast champion, you can't react that fast to him. And yeah, he just goes down, does the Jax. He didn't blow flash though, so he still has a good pressure potentially on the Ryze. But the Ryze is going to probably do his best to try and farm as much as he can. But it's going to be difficult. It is going to be difficult in the early stages with him. Obviously though, Ryze probably would want to go back fairly soon, get some sustain, maybe pick up a corrupting potion potentially. So is going to choose to go back, pushes out the wave a little bit, and Jax will be able to catch up probably a little bit far. Never mind, I don't know where Jax has gone. Okay, there he is. He was just randomly in the bush. If I was this Jax, I would have hard pushed that minion wave to get to the tower ASAP to try and get the minion wave to reset. But now, if you actually count the minions, it's still going to be pushing into Jax in this area most likely. So this isn't very good for this Jax. And already, Dark Seal is actually what Ryze has opted for, by the way, with boots. The Jax already is in trouble. The Ryze damage is not as bad as you think. And that, to me, wants to be the main thing already. The point of, like, the takeaway that you guys get from this video. Prison's hit by Ryze and just straight up kills it. So, Nunu top lane. What can Ryze do? Can he avoid it? Can he kill him? Let's see. Nunu's not going to hit the snowball, but is going to go for the E. And this is probably a dead Ryze. Never mind. He actually is backing away. Does the Nunu? And he goes down. So, this is my point. Is that a lot of people, I think, have overreacted, and, you know, the league community and overreacting, to, oh, you know, these champions, they don't have Rod of Ages anymore, they must suck. From my experience, no, really, they don't. Kassadin is still insanely good. Ryze is still really good. Maybe Anivia's the one, but she literally is getting a mini rework in the next couple days to basically bring her to Season 11, to not make her as mana hungry. But this damage, you know, he's got very little AP. He's got a tier. Yes, he had a Dark Seal, but That's not bad damage at all. Like, literally, at all. I think people have been overestimating how much these champions are in pain right now and underestimating how much damage they do. And the funny thing is, Ryze is still what you'd consider a scaling mage. He's one of the best mages for snowballing really in the game, or mid to late game. His damage output's nuts. In solo queue, his ult isn't that useful because it requires coordination in order to make it work. But in pro play, we've seen Ryze ultimates win games. So, Ryze, do not underestimate Ryze, even though, yes, one of his core items arguably is being gone now, deleted. He's still really good. You know, starting tier, I actually think, is a big part of that. You know, tier is a core fundamental item on Ryze. A lot of Ryzes used to start Sapphire Crystal, then go into tier straight away. They'd base, even at full health, just to go get tier early. Meanwhile, Jax, again, continuing his aggression. And some of you maybe, look at the damage! Like, look at that damage! Dead. Like, yes, the Jax arguably is making a couple mistakes, but this damage is nuts. Like, how many of you probably just got shocked by that damage that Ryze did? Jax was maybe about 3/4 health, and then just instantly nearly dead. This is early game Ryze, right? This is not mid game. This is still 6 minutes into the game. This is nuts. And this is where we will have said League of One-Shots or League of Damage is now what the game should be called, because the damage has gone up. Everybody's damage has gone up. I don't know one champion potentially that their damage has actually gone down. Meanwhile, the Jax is definitely in trouble here. Hecarim making sure that he can't really get back to the tower. Hecarim ultimate gets him away from the tower, and a dead Jax goes down. Now, would also say, like, some people are like, oh, you know, this has only gone this way because the Hecarim ganked early. Yes and no. Like, the Hecarim ganked early, and that obviously got the kill. But Jax was still trading really effectively versus... sorry, the Ryze was trading really effectively versus the Jax. It wasn't easy for the Ryze. Yes, they had to kind of go back and forth, and Ryze had to be careful, but the damage was not bad. And now, even like now, where Ryze hasn't had like a proper completed item, he's had little components, that damage is nuts. You can't deny that. That's insane damage. So the game itself, by the way, is a very quiet game other than top lane. So obviously it's going well for Ryze. It's going okay for Hecarim. But mid lane, the Fizz has a tiny advantage. Bot lane, they... Obviously, both AD carries have died once. It's identical, but the slight farm advantage for Ashe. It's a very, you know, mirrored game. It's just mainly top lane that is happening. The Jax has died 4 times already. So what can happen? How can the Jax may recover this game? Some of you may be asking. Meanwhile, Twisted Fate with a nice double kill bot lane, I think, going for an ultimate play. First ultimate play of the game for him. The Jax needs to stop playing aggressive for one, but I understand potential frustration. So Jax is also a mid to late game hyper kind of scaling champion. A late game Jax versus Ryze is going to be quite close. It depends probably how Jax itemizes. Jax can definitely beat a Ryze in late game mode. He needs to stop playing aggressive for one, because that's obviously what's been now punishing him the most, clearly. Sometimes you just got to accept, I'm not beating this Ryze right now. But yes, it's going to be difficult for me to even make any comeback. I'm under half farm. Obviously, the early game's gone terrible for me. But that does happen. You can make comebacks. But he's just got to accept that, you know, he's behind. And when you're playing behind, you have to accept you're behind, and you just have to focus on farming and less on damage and kills. Meanwhile, Ryze is going to go for his ult play, manages to get the TP before the Jax could stop them. And the Rift Herald is what was happening, by the way. Ryze over the wall, misses the Q, maybe going to flash, does end up flashing. Unfortunately, doesn't get the kill, even though he probably would want it. Hecarim then continuing straight up to top lane. The Jax didn't use ultimate. Missing quite a few Qs is the Ryze, and that probably did cost the kill. But yeah, the Nunu was looking for Rift Herald, but a Hecarim kind of moseys his way over there and goes, hey, how you doing? And unfortunately for the Jax, the Hecarim decides to dive. So yeah, not going very well. Arguably, I think the Jax needs to play way more defensive than he is, but he's just not. And again, it happens. Showing these games, as I've always said, I love showing when people arguably are playing really bad in high rating. Like this Jax, people would be, you know, even in silver, people will be going, what the hell, Jax? What are you doing? Let alone a high rating game. Like this Jax, let me get what rating he is. He is... he's currently in Diamond 1, and he's a Jax Mega main. Meanwhile, he's teleporting, because again, Ryze has not got any mana. Oh, I must kill him. But he's not respecting that Hecarim can still be around. You've got to respect that. So this Jax has got 758 games of Jax, the 52% win rate. His next champion is Tryndamere with 355. So this guy plays the kind of thunk auto-attack champions. But his Tryndamere is just a positive win rate, 50.1. So he is a Jax player. Massive. Must be one of the biggest Jax players on EU West. He's having a bad game. You know, he's a Diamond 1 player. He's been in Master. He's having a bad game. So if he's having a bad game and you're scratching your head, how is this happening? Then you can have a bad game in whatever rating you're in. That's the point. I like showing that. But, you know, furthermore, as I mentioned, I wanted to show this because I even now have been shocked by how much damage this Ryze can do. He still doesn't have a completed item. He's probably about to get one, maybe. No, probably not, actually. So he's obviously got Magi this game because of the early game start. He's getting tier 2 boots. But obviously, yeah, he's snowballing. Still no completed item, but it's just it's astonishing damage to me. It's surprising. And, you know, less surprising now because, yes, he's getting further ahead than the Jax. But earlier, when he got the first solo kill on the Jax, that damage was nuts. Like, it really was nuts. So Jax, what I would do, by the way, if I was this Jax? Firstly, I would probably buy Merc Treads for one. Look at that Ryze damage, by the way. Nearly one-shotting him. I'd probably buy Merc Treads just to help out with CC, Magic Resist, etc. Because look, there is basically sod all that he can do now in a 1v1. So he needs to focus on surviving more than anything else. He might look for this kill, by the way. I wouldn't be surprised because now Ryze is low health. Wouldn't be surprised if Jax tried to go for this. He's got his flash. You can see he's not focusing on farm. He's now going for the kill. And look who's top lane, Hecarim. So this is where the Jax being a little bit greedy, like, oh, I can kill him finally, and gets killed. I do feel sorry for this Jax, but in the end, he did it to himself. He played hyper-aggressive in the early game, like hyper-aggressive. And you could argue, oh, he kind of needs to do that because you don't want to let a Ryze get strong, like, to mid-game for free. But also Jax scales too, so it's not the worst thing if you have an even lane phase. And it was the Jax that was playing aggressive, not the Ryze. The Jax has done it to himself. He's playing too aggressive. He's playing without vision in top lane. He's not respecting that the Hecarim has chosen, I'm going to go top lane quite a bit. Because when that does happen, yes, it sucks as a top laner. It really sucks if Nunu's not going to help you that much. But there's also, if Nunu came top lane, is it really going to do anything? Not really. Not in this game. Not anymore. So the Jax just has to accept that. So he has gone the Merc Treads, by the way, which I think he should have gone a bit earlier in the game. But he does have them finally, so that will help. But again, help to a certain extent. This is a late game mage, getting to early game quicker than expected. And once again, right there, Ryze is 4 levels above. And yes, he's got low mana, etc. But that was a level 7 Jax was going to try and fight that Ryze. What are you doing at that stage, you know? Like, that's the point. It's bizarre. Right, so and look, this Jax, he has to be basically inting at this point, right? So he's going to fight, he's going to probably die any second, and he's dead. I do not know what he's doing. So again, I like that I'm showing this, because so many people would believe that this doesn't happen above Diamond. It does. It really does. And the reason why so many people, I believe, do not think that this type of game happens. Like, look at this game. 22 kills, 2 deaths. And I know that some people are like, this is kind of boring. Shaz, you're showing a stomp. I just wanted to show the Ryze damage is impressive. That's the main thing I wanted you to get out of this video. People have been over-exaggerating, as like normal the League community, of some champions being weaker. They're not weak. The Jax played too aggressive, and he got punished heavily for that. And that's what I wanted to show. I wanted to show you guys that this is nuts. The damage is insane. Because it is. But yeah, I also like to show you that this does happen in high rating. People would literally not believe me. And as I was saying, some people do not believe people having terrible games like this in high ratings. And I've said it before, it is the YouTuber problem. I'd say 95% of League YouTubers do not upload games or show any content that includes someone like this Jax. Because statistically, it's not great for your channel to do so. Meanwhile, Fizz looking aggressive, Ryze 1 combos him. It's not statistically a great thing to do. Meanwhile, this Twisted, by the way, going Rocket Belt will pick up the kill as well. But yeah, you want to have a nice positive image. You want to be happy and laughing. So if you have a teammate on your team that is doing this, it's not worth uploading because you might get a bit salty. Or if it's on the enemy team, some people are like, oh, what's the point in showing this game? Obviously, I've even, by the way, skipped games that this has happened, whether it be on the enemy team or my team. I have skipped them. But I do like showing it every now and then too. I think it is worth it. But this one especially because again, I know I've said it a few times, but the damage that Ryze has outputted in the early game is surprisingly too high, question mark. And, you know, I will say, I'm not surprised by his damage anymore. He's very fed, he's very ahead. The Jax is basically a minion this game now. But earlier in the game, very surprised. What I'm about to say, though, is surprising, is the Jax is... Sorry, the Ryze is very close, as surprising as it is, to be double level than the Jax. In a game that the Jax hasn't gone AFK, but he is maybe trolling now. Like, if you look at his items, he's sold his items, he's gone just a dagger. So yes, he probably is trolling now, but he is level 7. Ryze is level 13. He has just started to troll. So that's another thing. We're showing a game that is also rare, and that he's now under... But this Jax is borderline trolling, right? I think most of us would agree. He's 0-10. Is he inting? Is he not? People wouldn't believe me that people in Diamond 1 Master ratings int. They do. It happens all the time. And, you know, a lot of people say, like, oh, how did they get that rating then if they int or if they are a troll or a rager or something? Some players are very mechanically gifted, or some players can hit the edge every now and then. Like, let's say this Jax player, he's kind of inting this game. I'm sure his teammates probably reported him. But maybe he does this every literal now and then, or maybe this is the first time he's done it. You know, that's the thing. Everyone's going to eventually have a tipping point, and maybe this Jax, just this game was it. I can say with, you know, a very easy way to say it, rage quitting. I have rage quit, and it's not, you know, we say rage quitting. I didn't rage, I wasn't screaming, but I've quit one game of League in my whole career when I knew that was a bad thing. And that was, I think, last year or the year before. And it was when I was on a big loss streak in solo queue. I was playing okay myself. It was just one of those times that you're like, what the hell can I do? Meanwhile, Ultimate onto the platform, by the way. But it was one of those times, and Jax got a kill, by the way, without dying on the platform. It was one of those times that you're playing well, you cannot get wins, and you're having bad teammates, and it was a gangplank game. And that game, I was playing fine, and my team was doing bad again, and I did something, and my team just started spam pinging me and blaming me, even though I was not doing anything too bad. I just misplayed one thing. And after having a terrible week with ranked, I was like, you know what, this game, I'm done. And then I just left. And I'm not happy about it. I'm not, you know, I'm ashamed by it, but it's the one time I've done it. Meanwhile, Jax, by the way, has finally completed an item. He's got Blade the Ruined King. That was the item he's going first. Gets one shot anyway. Vayne going to go aggressive with the Hecarim. Really nice Lulu ultimate, though, by the way. Ryze trying to have the DPS. Has the DPS. Absolutely machine gunning everything. That is what this is. You know, Ryze used to be called. Machine gun Ryze. The spell output he can do is so fast that it's like a machine gun, but with spells. He has 2 items complete with a fully stacked Medjais. So, not surprising that he's doing obviously this well, and there is a surrender vote. So, is it a surrender vote? I thought it was a surrender vote because everybody stopped, but apparently it wasn't. Arrow coming through, Nunu dodges it. Ignite, Twisted Fate's trying to buff his damage stats. But there we go. So I would say, not the most intense game or like hugely educational game, I grant you, but I wanted to show that some people like watching this video go, oh yeah, you know, I think Ryze is pretty weak right now. It's not necessarily the case. He did fine, his damage was high, he snowballed, he did really well. Also, mega bad games happen in high rating. This Jax went 112 with 60 farm. He finished, you know, nearly half in levels, near enough. So yeah, I just wanted to show this type of thing. You know, I'm not going to upload mega stomps like this, even with commentaries. Don't worry, it's not going to become the norm. I just wanted to show it this game. But anyway, that's going to be it. That was Ryze. Absolutely mental. Still very strong. And yes, Rod of Ages is gone. Doesn't seem to be impacting me too bad. But that's it. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what champions you want to see down below. It does help out whenever I'm looking to see what I want to do. Specifically, I would say ask for champions that you've not seen me make content on, or you don't think I'm personally going to play, because they're more likely the ones that I probably will do. Because if I want to play it, I'll play it myself. But anyway, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys next time. Peace.